substantial as of now, but I don't rule out the fact that it could happen in the next few months. But like I said, that it is a commodity cycle. You've got to live with it, and I think that interestingly, I think that there will be an opportunity to consolidate.
Do you see Grasim, Ultratech, your cement businesses, looking out there for acquisition opportunities with so much capacity coming on stream yourselves already? Or are you talking about consolidation on a larger level amongst other players in the marketplace?
No, both. I think that there will be consolidation in the cement business as a whole. I also think that as a cement company ourselves, there could be opportunities for consolidation, for acquisition. I don't see that happening now, but 1 year down the line, very possible.
At least 2 years, you expect prices to recover.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, let's get your metals outlook. A few weeks ago, you told me that you were expecting at least 2 quarters of softness in metal prices globally, and therefore, of course, impacting your businesses. Would you still stand by that, or do you
Absolutely.
think that views gotten
that
worse now?
You will have 2 quarters of pressure on prices.
Only 2 quarters?
The fact is that a large part of commodity pricing is now a factor of investments by hedge funds. And given all of this liquidity crisis, hedge funds have pulled out of commodity funds. And given the fact that there is such a huge element of speculation because of hedge funds in commodity pricing, you will see, and you are seeing, commodity prices going down. But if you take the example of aluminum, at current levels of pricing, you have 1/3 of the world's capacity that will actually have to shut down because they'll start to make cash losses.
Right.
I don't think that the softness in aluminum will continue for more than 2 quarters. And again, if you are the lowest cost producer, if you've got your cost structure right, I think that, like I said earlier, you'll be the last man standing.
Do you see demand destruction in aluminum as well? Because I think in your own Hindalco results yesterday, you all outlined the fact that you're seeing Olympic demand from China slow down. And then, of course, we're talking about facing a possible global recession. Both America and across Europe, we're seeing signs of contraction. So you're seeing demand destruction in aluminum?
We're talking about a global demand growth of 6% vis-a-vis 8% that we were talking about earlier. But, having said that, this is a moving target. So we'll have to see how things go in the next couple of months.
Okay, let me talk about your telecom business. It was a difficult quarter for Idea for the kind of investments that they're making in news circles. The telecom business itself seems to be going through a rethink, right? I think most people seem to believe that if, talk prices get any cheaper, it's, going to be very difficult for businesses to sustain the kind of phenomenal growth we've seen, both top line and bottom line, in the past many years. Are the best years of telecom over in this country?
No, I think you're right. I think the best years of telecom are over because you have so many more players than you had to start with. Having said that, I think it still remains a very attractive business for existing incumbents, those who have a network or are spreading out their network, like Idea is, and those who are on the cusp of growing up, like Idea is. And that's not a spiel for Idea. But I think the new who intend to come, I think they'll find it very difficult to survive in this market.
Actually, I have lots of telecom questions to ask you. But first, would you at all plan to maybe go a little slow in some of your expansion plans, your sort of capex plans, as you mentioned, in many of the new circles that you want to enter, because this is a difficult period and maybe you just want to sit back and watch how things unfold over the next 6 months?
Well,
and then
no, I
come
think
back.
that as a company, again, we've got to take a longer-term view of things. Our capex is all funded. We have very strong balance sheet. It's debt-free. And I think the faster we get on with the rollout, the faster the revenues start to come in and the faster we move up in the pecking order in the telecom business. So no, I don't think we are contemplating
no slowdown whatsoever
any slowdown in the rollout in the telecom
previously
business.
planned investment. What do you think of the Swan Unitech deals? There are $2 billion, $3 billion valuations of companies that have just gotten Spectrum a few months ago. Does it bother you that these companies are able to attract these kind of valuations without even having to build a telecom business?
Great news for someone like us because, if you have new companies with only a license or licenses that can command the value like they do, then a company like Idea should have, doubled and tripled its valuation many times over. So I think that it's a good benchmark for companies like Idea. In terms of the valuation.
You haven't spoken out publicly about what you think of this entire Spectrum situation that we've gotten ourselves into.
Well, I think that if it is a transparent process, whatever the process may be, I think that's fair. I think that
You agree with the whole auction process?
I think that the auction, if it's fair, if it's transparent, it's fine. I mean, I don't think that's the ideal situation to be in, but that's a situation that we can live with.
But you're okay with the way 2G and now 3G, but I mean till this spectrum, but the way 2G spectrum, was given away.
Well, I think that's something in the past and not something that
Yes, but it
impacts our
skewed the
future.
dynamics of the telecom business, Mr.
Well, I
Pillai.
think the next important thing is going to be the auction of 3G.
Yeah.
And that I think is one important inflection point going forward.
So you don't want to talk about the 2G policy mess that, because I mean, many telecom players are incredibly bitter about the fact that
But
it
it's gone
completely
and done
skewed.
with.
Yes, but it was unfair according to many, and it skewed the dynamics of the business according to many, and it deprived existing telecom businesses that actually had consumers and desperately
Well, I
needed
think it's
spectrum.
happened. You've got to live with it. You can't rewind it.
So you don't have a view on it.
Well, I think a view doesn't matter. You can have a view on a lot of things, but the fact is that that water has flown under the bridge. We are where we are, and we've got to make the best of the situation, and I think that IDEA is in a great situation.
Well fielded, Mr. Birla. 3G auction, do you think it should be delayed, considering that finding funds to be able to bid in that auction are going to be a little difficult at this point in time to
Well,
put it
I
mildly?
think that, yeah, given the liquidity situation, maybe it's not practical to have an auction at this point in time, but as soon as this liquidity issue is behind us, as far as we're concerned, we're pretty comfortable in terms of...
If they did have it now, what would it mean for IDEA? Because while you say that most of your expansion is already funded, this auction could really put you under pressure.
Not really. Like I said, we have a debt-free balance sheet and a very strong one. So in fact, if liquidity is not a problem for banks as a whole, not specific to IDEA, we would have very little problem in funding the acquisition of 3G.
Mr. Birla, would it be fair to say that right now the majority businesses or the bigger businesses in your group are all suffering a downturn at the same time? That there's really no hedge, so to speak, because cement, metals, telecom, well, not a downturn, but it's a hugely capital sort of intensive period right now. So in terms of profitability, in terms of margins, all these businesses are going through severe pressures right now?
Like I said, this is the moment of truth, and this is the time that the men actually get separated from the boys. And I think that there is no going away from the fact that everyone's facing these issues to some extent or another. It's important to see how all of us look coming out of it, and I think that we're going to look very good.
The other business I wanted to talk to you about is the financial services business, which is probably the most impacted right now in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months. You were at one point trying to sort of reform this business, give it a higher profile, grow it faster. This last 3, 4 months has been a considerable setback to that?
It's not been about profile, but it has been about more power to the financial services businesses.
Right.
And I think that from what I know and what I can see, the redemptions for us have been far lower than a lot of the other players. And I think that we will come out looking pretty good. I think that we would have moved up in the pecking order at the end of this crisis in the financial services.
Have the last 3, 4 months set you back in terms of your financial services plans?
Well, of course, I think we would have liked to grow much faster. Our plans were much more aggressive. But that was when the world hadn't changed.
Okay. This is a time in the marketplace that, is tempting many promoters to A, increase their stake for a variety of different reasons. A, stocks are incredibly cheap. B, you want to provide some shore or floor level to that stock. You want to tell investors that you have confidence in it. And of course, SEBI has gone ahead and facilitated that route as well by removing the open offer trigger at 55% and taking it all the way to 75%. Is this the time that you'd like to go out and buy more shares in many of your group companies?
But speaking for ourselves, I think it's a great time for us to buy a stock. We, in any case, were shoring up our holdings, and I think at these levels of pricing, just fast forward our plans. I think that it's going to be very difficult to find our stocks at these prices going forward. And SEBI's move has been great. I don't think it will help the current situation very much because most promoters aren't at the 55% limit. And since the creep limit has been kept at 5, I'm not sure if it will shore up prices in the phase, but I think that if maybe the creep limit was also increased to 10% instead of 5%, I think that would have helped the situation as of now.
Give me a sense of how much you'd like to take promoter stake to in your, let's say, at least in your 3 or 4 key companies.
I think that given the current environment, the ideal promoter holding situation should be more than 50%.
More than 50%. And if the creep limit so allows, or depending on the time it takes within this creep limit, you would like to take your promoter holding to over 50% over the next few
years? I think in
the
current environment, that makes a lot of sense. I think that would give a lot of comfort to investors, to promoters. There's no reason why you wouldn't want to see your holding at 50+%.
So is it fair to assume then that Kumar Mangalam Birla is right now a buyer in Hindalco, in Grasim, in all your company stocks?
I think that it's a great time for us as promoters to buy these stocks.
So are you buying?
And we will be buying going forward.
Okay. Do you have trouble finding financing for your purchases? You did a rights issue right now and you already spent substantial amounts of money subscribing there. Many promoters, I understand, are no longer able to leverage their existing promoter holding. Money is not available to be able to go out there and purchase. So do you have enough money right now to go out there and substantially buy stock?
Well, honestly, I don't have all the money I'd wanted to have had to milk the situation. But I think going forward, like I said, I think in the next couple of weeks, the liquidity position will ease, especially for companies like us. And I think that would be the time to actually go out and start to buy in the market.
What do you think of what the government can do, what regulators like SEBI can do to make the current environment a little easier for businesses to be able to get through this incredibly difficult period?
I think the only thing that they can probably do is to respond more proactively and faster.
Okay.
So if you actually announce an initiative or a policy on day 5, you could probably do it on day 2. But honestly, I don't think that there's much more that one should expect, and I don't think that there's much more that they can do.
Okay. So the last question then, what was the worst moment in the last 3-4 months?
The worst moment I think was one evening when we saw very large redemption pressure, as did all other mutual funds. But like I told you, we are a very strong industry player and with strong fundamentals and very high credibility. So we rided that through incredibly well.